Hello, dear friends. Blogger has removed 5 of my posts. Free spirits, end of division, resetting the system, longing for a destiny, and wealth transfer, for allegedly breaching community guidelines. Opinion piece. Artificial reality. A bad novel. Unstable spring. Twilight of the gods. Truth is coming to light. Signs you are getting better. Prepare for what is coming. Let's start. According to Bennett Ross, we live in an artificial reality. A bad novel written on a whim in the offices of the Vatican Historical Society. We have been stripped of our memory and deafened with lies. But the beast of the apocalypse is rising from the ocean and the matrix is cracking. The plasma of source will once again renew the world and herald a time of abundance. The magnetic expansion of the atmosphere will trigger the reproduction of elastin and collagen, making us look young and vigorous. As the world adopts a higher frequency, low-frequency entities will be unable to remain, and Satan's 1,000-year reign will be over. The elite's puppets are desperate for a way out. You are the co-creator of your world, and you can shape the conditions for lasting positive change. Your potential is far greater than you have been told. When you observe with expectation and faith, particles become waves, and the waves merge into patterns. Patterns then become reality. You are a living fractal and an extension of the universe. What you expect is what you will bring about. Your attention will change the entire outcome of an event. Control. David Icke claims that human reality is influenced by a non-physical control system, linked to an astral dimension and to serpentine or hybrid entities. Icke insists that many accounts of UFOs, abductions, space shifting, and paranormal experiences should not be understood as isolated events, but rather as different manifestations of the same scheme of consciousness manipulation. Icke also develops his view that the physical world is a kind of frequency band where we only perceive a tiny fraction of reality. From this perspective, he interprets phenomena such as apparitions, disappearances, ghosts, or impossible entities as frequency shifts that human perception decodes in a limited way. For this reason, he criticizes both orthodox science and institutional religion, which he sees as systems that restrict what is considered possible. Another important part of the interview is his explanation of reptilianism as something broader than simply a physical species. He asserts that there is a layer of control in which humans, the elite, royal bloodlines, secret societies, and certain interdimensional entities are all connected by the same logic of domination. Within this framework, he mentions rituals, royal families, power networks, and accounts of public figures who have allegedly been observed in a non-human state. Icke's conclusion is that the main problem is not only who is in control, but from what level of consciousness that control is exercised. In his view, the key to liberation is to question the limits imposed by education, culture, and the fear of ridicule, and to explore without censorship what reality is and how it might be being manipulated. Reset News. According to Judy Pinkton, the forecasts for the global financial reset have changed again, but we must remember the great battle being waged in this war of good versus evil, and be grateful that we can see what is happening up close. According to Cut the She 3, Steven Spielberg made a deal in exchange for information, and it's working with the White Hats. His new film, Disclosure Day, reveals aliens, space shifters, and clones, everything we've known for decades. According to Rinas Berhagen, no government can confirm that it has authority over a living human being. This is only possible if there is a contract with the entity known as the state, but such contract does not exist, nor can they prove that we are their property, because that would have had to be notarized with the consent of the living person. According to the Storm Rider, many of the things we have seen throughout our lives are not always what they seem. The boundaries are becoming increasingly blurred, making it difficult for us to understand the world around us. It is difficult to discern. We are living in times of war, and in war, things are rarely as clear as they initially seem. What appears obvious today can look very different once new information emerges. The Storm Rider presents a conspirational view of King Charles III, centered on the idea that his figure is linked to covert operations, global crisis, and a behind-the-scenes power realignment. In his view, there is a war for the minds, spirits, and DNA of the population, and the current confrontation involves high-ranking elites and networks associated with the British monarchy. Signs you are getting better, according to Kerry Kay. You might feel time speeding up, your perspective shifting, you are growing tired of the same old drama, you're losing interest in the story that once defined you, or even you feeling a strange inclination to experience the things you used to run from. You might feel lost, but this sense of disorientation doesn't have to be a setback. It can be the beginning of a reconnection. Famous German lawyer Rainer Fuellmich presents himself as the victim of a politically motivated fabrication, not as someone accused of a common crime. He insists that the entire case is part of a persecution operation orchestrated by German intelligence. Fuellmich claims his arrest in Mexico and subsequent transfer to Germany fit what he calls a political kidnapping, and he presents a new civil lawsuit as proof that he remains combative and intends to expose those responsible. Proletario 1 reports the closure of underground facilities at Area 51. Dulce and other Pacific notes attributing it to covert operations against hybrid and non-human programs. He maintains that tunnels, laboratories, and containment chambers were destroyed using seismic charges, incendiary drones, electromagnetic pulses, and directed energy weapons in order to eliminate specimens and seal the facilities. In his view, the earthquakes and explosions of May 2026 would be the physical sign of the final demolition of these programs, with no viable specimens escaping, and the system buried under millions of cubic meters of rock. Revelation. According to Captain Kyle, the revelation will come very soon. In recent months, people in government positions have opened the door to prepare people for what is coming. When this comes to light, there will be no turning back. The systems are being dismantled, and the chaos is only the outward appearance of the world's rebalancing. Nothing can stop what is coming, and it has already begun. The truth is coming to light, and the world will never be the same. According to Captain Kyle, this is the best time to be alive and experience your journey to the fullest. In everything that happens today, Several things can be true at the same time. So don't get stuck on the idea that it's one truth or another, because both can be true simultaneously. Find your truth and peace by looking inward, not outward. It's very easy to deceive people by looking outward, but within is where the truth of all things resides. We are in a period where deception abounds everywhere for many different reasons. By disconnecting from the matrix and connecting with your divine source, there resides the truth and peace that surpasses all understanding. Embrace your journey and live it to the fullest with love, compassion, and gratitude. That's your key. God is in control. You are in control. Twilight. What happened to civilization 1200 BC? Many civilizations fell, eroded, or suffered some other obstacle to their progress. Egypt suffered a setback, but so did the Hittites and some of their neighbors. Several theories have been proposed: natural disaster, invasion by the sea peoples, etc. Linda Dillon says it had to do with the withdrawal of our star family from active participation in our society. They were no longer wanted, and so they withdrew. They felt it was time for us to manage our own affairs. We turned against each other and began a series of wars of conquest and continue to this day. Freedom was repressed. If creativity is repressed, the capacity to manifest oneself in what is possible is suppressed. Then came the resurgence of human paradigms of lack, limitation, etc. And then we had a placement number of people in positions of authority, not creativity. What we see now is the fading away of civilizations that were in full development, so that the new Earth community can come to the forefront. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.